Right, hello everyone. My name is Kieran. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since I've posted an actual long form video. I think we're on 7, 8 months maybe. So brilliant track record. But we're back. Football is back. The 2025-26 season starts for League Two wise, it starts this Saturday coming. For Newport and Barnet, it starts this Tuesday in the EFL Cup preliminary round. We're not going to talk about the entire basis of that game and should it exist or not. But we are going to do a little bit of previewing for it for the before game brief, which is the rebranded, basically, Newport County pre-match podcast. Same thing, different name. There we are. So I am joined by James, who is part of the B brief, of course, talking about it. First of all, mate, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to have a chat with me. How's things been?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think I'm a bit different to you. I'm looking forward to the football season coming back. Obviously, we had a great year last season, so we're just excited to get back to it, and hopefully we can show the EFL that we're pretty good at football.
I mean, based on last season, I think there's no doubt that you are pretty good at football. But before we get into it, I will link all of the B brief and all of their socials in the description. Go check them a follow and all that stuff. And hopefully this won't be the only time we have a conversation throughout the season. Hopefully it's a lot more positive than our chat just before we started recording, basically. But we will dive straight into it. And you mentioned last season, you mentioned how good you did last season. Now, 102 points, going up as champions. Season before, you get 86 points. I'm reading them the wrong way around. And you don't manage to get promotion. But how did it feel to finally get back into the EFL after, a good few seasons out? And how are you expecting yourselves to perform going into this season?
I'll start last season. So obviously we'd lost the playoff semi-final the year before to Solihull. We'd actually gone pretty much the whole season again unbeaten at home. Played a Solihull team who finished, I think it was like 20-something points below us. And they came to our ground and smashed us off the park, beat us 4-0. And we thought, oh my gosh, we're never getting out this stupid league. So however bad you think League Two is, the National League's 10 times worse. It's impossible to get out of. So we did playoffs 2 years in a row, didn't win a game in either of those. And then our manager did an interview actually straight after that game and says, I know what needs to happen for next season. And he basically got rid of some key players, brought in a whole new, I wouldn't say a whole new squad, but basically improved on the players that we needed to improve on, got more depth in. And I mean, last season, probably the best footballing season I've ever witnessed from Barnet. I mean, it definitely is. Some of the performances we put in, there was a game towards the end of the season when we played York at home. Obviously, York were our title rivals, and we were struggling for numbers. We had no goalkeeper, we had no midfielders. We played a left wing back in midfield and signed a keeper on the day. And it was the best Barnet performance I've ever seen live. We hammered them. They finished 3-1, but it could have been, 10-0. They scored their only shot on target, which was in the 90th minute. It's just like, it's games like that all season. We won 7-0, 5-0, 6-0. We were just smashing teams off the park. It was crazy. And we're very confident going into this season, to be honest. We've made 11 signings over the window. It's obviously the first time that Dean Brennan, our manager's worked in the EFL. So obviously the window, the rules and regulations behind what you can register and what you can't register, that's all stuff we've had to adapt to. But I feel like our recruitment's been really good, really positive. We've got great depth. And I think you'll probably see that on Tuesday night, actually. We'll come on to that. But we're looking positive. And if you wanted me to give where I hope, where I think we'd finish at the end of the season, I think minimum's got to be top half. I think we can push for playoffs. I think we've got the squad to do that. And the management team are, for me, the best we've had at Barnet in my lifetime.
I mean, Dean Brennan, he's a man that I remember from not last season, the season prior, where we played you in the FA Cup. Was it round 2, round 3?
Yes,
one of the two. It might have been opening round, actually. I remember that entire run being the winner of it eventually played Man United. But I remember listening to his post-match interview and listening to the way he kind of put himself across. And you could tell something was happening at Barnet. There was no doubt that there was a project being built there. They weren't going to be too far off of getting back into the Football League. And obviously, you've managed it. I've got up some of your business now. I'm looking at it and I'm seeing League Two experience. The likes of Ollie Hawks, Critchlow from Bradford, of course, just went up with them. You've got the likes of Kane Smith, who was at Stevenage. There's some decent signings in there. You've already kind of mentioned it, but in terms of this business, do you think it is enough to push towards these playoffs and stuff? Because obviously you've already got the foundations there.
Yeah, no, so obviously we've got 102 points last season. So Dean's actually spoken about a bit over the off season. He thinks that League Two is basically playing a top 7 National League team every single week. And for us, out of all the top 7 in the National League last year, the only team we didn't beat was Halifax. And funnily enough, we've gone and signed 3 players from Halifax because they were the only ones that could beat us. So we were like, no, they're the ones that we didn't beat. So we were like, okay, they've got something about them. They play sort of a similar way to us in terms of their physicality and the way they like to set up. So we've gone and signed a couple of those players. And I mean, the EFL experience we've brought in was a must. A lot of our players haven't played at this level. We've got a very young squad. I think last season we were one of the youngest in the team. And for some of those young players are the ones that have carried us. You look at the likes of Callum Stead, scored 20 goals last season from number 10 position. Zach Brunt, he's got a massive future in the game. I think he's going to go really, really far. And I really think he's going to have a proper breakthrough season in the EFL this year. And then, bringing in the likes of Ollie Hawkins, someone with loads of experience. Dennis Adenoran, experience, played in League One, played 50 games for Sheffield Wednesday in League One in the Championship. So those type of players that we need. And we're still in the market for a couple. I think we still want a midfielder. We still need a backup goalkeeper. I feel like the midfielder we're going to bring in is going to be another sort of experienced type player, because we're probably lacking a bit in there in terms of EFL experience. But you'll see, some of our players will be standouts in this league. Anthony Hartigan, for me, was the best midfielder in the league last season in the National League. He's completes the most passes. His set pieces deliveries are a joke. He's ridiculous. So he'll be our key player this season for 100%. So we just got to build around him.
An experienced midfielder. What would Newport do to get their hands on one of those, or maybe 4 of them? Irregardless, going into this game now, how have you felt pre-season has went for your lot? Because of course, everyone's favourite. Some people maybe take pre-season results too seriously. Maybe I shouldn't even delve on them. But in terms of your pre-season, how's the schedule looked, and how do you think it's prepared you going into this, obviously, League Two season?
Well, funnily enough, we seem to play the same teams every year. And I think it was 4 years we were unbeaten in pre-season, which is just a random stat. Don't know why that's the case. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But we did lose. We lost to Crystal Palace under 23s, but they had quite a strong team out. And we were rotating a bit. The problem I think we've got at the moment is I think quite a few of our players are probably a couple of weeks behind schedule. So there's a couple of players that picked up injuries, but I think we've got 4 or 5 out already. There's a couple that we signed a bit later on, so they're slightly behind in adapting to the system that we play. Our system is really unique, so it takes time for players to adjust. So there'll be players a bit behind. So I think we're a bit, I wouldn't say concerned, but hesitant maybe about the first month or so. But as they always say, the league is not won or lost in the first month. It's what happens after that. So I'm not concerned. I think we played Wickham the other day on Tuesday night and we drew 1-1. They had their first team out. We probably should have won the game. They're going to be a top-end League One side this year. But there's still a couple of things that I think we need to work on. And to be fair, this game on Tuesday, I think we'll sort of treat it as a pre-season game. I don't know if that would be sort of similar to how Newport treated it.
So to my knowledge, our last pre-season game happened a few days ago. We took an academy side to them. Basically, It was an academy side. So I would think that we're treating it as if this is the first game of the season. We'll take it with that level of respect and dignity that a qualifying round of the Carabao Cup presents, no matter how much or how little that may be. But you know what? I can't not dwell on it. I was going to say that I'm not going to dwell on it. But of course, you've just been promoted from the National League. Newport 22nd in the National League, and then you can also mention Accrington and you can mention Oldham, who now have to play an extra game to qualify for the cup. And within entire due respect to the Premier League, let's be honest, we know why it's happened. European spots. There's too many football games, bless them, with their £100 million players. What are your thoughts on it? Because when that news came out, I was far from pleased.
So yeah, I'd heard about this before the season even ended. So when we got promoted, there was already people speaking about the fact we might have to play this game if the Premier League finished the way it was, and we were sort of trying to hope. We were hoping City were going to beat Palace in the final, and there's all these things but yeah, obviously it's a joke. I mean, I don't really know what the alternative is the problem, because obviously you have an odd number of teams going in. The only alternative I think was putting Southampton into the first round or second round. Obviously, they got relegated. Or Leicester. I can't remember what the alternative was, but they stitched us up. There's a big welcome back to the EFL. Like, the National League's terribly run in itself. That's one of the worst football bodies you'll ever see. Some of the stuff that they've done over the last couple of years has been an absolute joke. But you think you're getting promoted back into the big time, like proper run establishments, but we've been stitched up already. And the funny thing is, you talk about so many games. Funny stat is, if we win on Tuesday, we will play 18 games in the first 2 months of the season, and we've got players behind already in pre-season.
That's a lot of football. I remember predicting you. Where did I predict you? I didn't quite predict you playoffs, but you were like you were mid-table somewhere around there. And I've been talking to a few Barnet fans, and they mentioned the injuries and stuff. And a good amount of my justification was you might start slow. And if you're having to play, was it 14 games?
18 games.
18 games, right? 18 games in the first 2 months.
Including the cup. And
if we're going to include the lovely EFL trophy that everyone watches and everyone is a massive fan of, very similar to the National League. It's the National League trophy or the National League Cup.
Well, luckily, we voluntarily didn't enter that last season, which did us a big favour.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't blame you. I've seen a few teams that have done it again. We won't even go into the National League. You know, as someone who supports a team that if 3 up, 3 down was a thing, we'd be in the 5th tier right now. I still think it should be a thing. I really don't think that gap from the National League to League 2 really is that big. But
I think the stat actually is that the team that's won the National League, I think they've finished in the top 10 in like the last 6 or 7 years or something. It's crazy.
You look at the likes of last season. Bromley went up. They weren't a million miles off the playoffs. Chesterfield in the playoffs. Season before, you had Wrexham straight up. I mean, arguable whether that one is because they're a National League club and they fit within that criteria, or whether they just have millions of pounds to spend. And they had a League One squad in the National League, but we won't go into that. Again, it keeps going, man. Notts County weren't a million miles off the playoffs. If anything, Notts County have been probably the weakest team to come up in the past few years. And that tells you a lot, considering they're consistently pushing top half.
Yeah.
But that being said, mate, we will go into some lovely predictions, because it's everyone's favorite thing. And what way would you want to start a season than predicting a game and getting the scoreline wrong? So going into Tuesday, I'm not going to rename what this game is because it still annoys me to this day. What do you think the score is going to be? Obviously, you mentioned that Barnet potentially taking it as a pre-season game to extent. Newport have taken a mostly academy side to their final actual pre-season game.
Yeah.
How do you think the game goes?
It's really an interesting one, because Fair Manager did an interview last week where he spoke about the fact we don't have a squad to be able to compete in the league, the trophy, the cup, and the FA Cup, and like being able to compete. He said you need 3 squads, which I think is probably a bit of an over-exaggeration, but we'll probably have 2 adequate squads. And I think we'll probably have a mixture of our first 11 and a couple of backup players to get them more minutes. And without being like arrogant or cocky, I think that's enough to still beat you.
Thanks for that.
I'll go 3-0.
Oh, of course he will. Right. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I said before we started recording.
No,
Right.
you said 4-0. You said
Okay,
4-0.
I did. Okay, at least you're given a little bit more respect before that. See, from my end, I don't know what to say. We've had an okay preseason, very similar to you. We play exactly the same teams every single year. Recently played Bristol City, only lost 1-0 to them in a behind closed doors friendly. So I suppose that's my one bit of knowledge and thought process going into the season. I still think we need about 4 or 5 signings, even though the season starts in under a week. Managers never managed a senior football club in his life. So you talk about Dean Braddon not managing in the Football League. Our manager hasn't managed senior football, full stop. So I don't know what to expect. I know what to expect from Barnet. Of course, you look at the lovely head-to-head record. The most recent game being that FA Cup one, we won 4-1. That was still a wild game to me. 1-1 beforehand in that game that you probably should have scored about 4.
Yeah, the 4-1 was crazy as well. I remember it. I think we made 4 errors leading to goals. I don't think we had another shot. I think we had about 15 shots and didn't score. We scored a handball. I remember that. I actually remember that.
I remember you scoring a handball. I remember that because I remember we all started posting it everywhere, and it went somewhat viral for an FA Cup opening round kind of thing. I mean, this is the thing. I can't even mention any other result that's relevant because you've got those FA Cup games in December 2023. You're then going all the way back to 2017. Of course, your last time in the Football League. That game, you won 2-1 at our place, 0-0, 2-2. Very even, to be honest with you, with a head-to-head. Not that it matters because it happened almost a decade ago. But do I want to be optimistic, or do I think this game is going to absolutely reek within true honesty? I'm going to go a 0-0. Right. I'm going to go a 0-0. I'm going to go a 0-0, but I'm going to assume that this game goes straight to penalties. You know, if you finish a game, it goes straight to penalties come full time. That's at least from what I remember playing Football Manager anyway. If I'm wrong, then I was about to say if I'm wrong and it goes to extra time, then God knows. But I'm going to go 0-0, and tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip a coin. I'm going to flip the coin. We're going to flip the coin on a podcast to see who ends up actually winning the game. I can't flip a coin, so instead I'm going to search a number generator. So would you like number 1 or number 2?
We'll have number 1 as we're currently the champions of the National League.
All right, so you can have number 1. So Newport take number 2. So I'm going to press generate. It stayed number 2, I think. Did it say number 2 or did the button not work? Hold on, I'm going to press it again. Okay, it did work the first time. So Newport went on penalties after a 0-0 because it's basically a preseason game.
Good.
To be honest with you,
wasting my Tuesday night now, knowing that I'm going to go watch a 0-0.
Yeah, you're going to go watch a 0-0. You're going to lose on penalties. That's the issue, though, because you've said you're taking it as a preseason in some aspect because of all the players that are unavailable.
Yeah.
We've played an academy side, so I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect from our manager. I don't know what team you're going to go out with because you've made about 1 million signings. So, it's a difficult one. So, what an ecstatic way to start the 25-26 Football League season than predicting a 0-0 and then doing a number generator for who wins the game. This is why I don't do predictions. I don't think I got a single one right last season. But in terms of anything else you want to mention Barnet-wise, because, we'll end up potentially doing another one of these for the actual important football that isn't one of these. Is there anything else you want to mention Barnet-wise, or do you reckon we're all cool to wrap it up there?
Yeah, I think we're all good. I think people are going to be surprised at how fluent we are with the ball. I mean, we had 60% possession last year. We knocked teams off the park. It's going to be different. I don't think you've seen a team play sort of similar to the way we do. I think Notts have tried it, but not as well as what we do. I think we'll shock quite a few people. So
And the issue with Notts is that they're not defensively solid. But from what I saw from you last season, you're very defensively solid, so you can compensate for them. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to: Barnet versus Milton Keynes. You've mentioned that you have 60% of the ball. No, not which one? Gillingham, not MK. But I mean, Paul Warren, that'll be a fun one. But Barnet against Gillingham.
Oh, Ainsworth,
that is the game I'm going to look forward to, because you'll absolutely love having the ball.
Yes.
Yeah, we know how Ainsworth plays his football. You don't care how much of the ball he has. That is going to be the perfect example of the modern type of enjoyable tiki-taka football that we've gotten used to seeing over the years.
Yeah.
And then Gareth Ainsworth football that is just going to be everyone sitting back in long balls. What a great game that I'm sure everyone is going to look forward to and love watching.
Yes, I agree.
That'll be a fun. I'm going to keep an eye on that one now. But no, I do appreciate your time. Very, very impromptu. I've done a number generator. Don't think I've ever done that one on the podcast. And ideally, I never want to do one ever again. But yeah, mate, generally appreciate I appreciate your time on this Sunday. It is a Sunday.
It is Sunday.
If you want to just talk about, the kind of stuff you're doing and what you've got planned for this season, feel free.
Yeah, so we're obviously with the Be-Brief. We started it last year. It's me and my mate, and we try and get special guests on all the time. We do post-match reviews of games. I mean, we've done a special episode with players, with the manager, with assistant manager. We've basically had every member of staff on. We're going to try and get a couple more players on over the season. We're going to plan to try and get some opposition fans, a bit like what you've done here, try and get them on for our podcast. We actually didn't want to do one for this game, so we scrapped the episode for the Newport game. But we're going to have a one before Fleetwood. We're going to try and find Fleetwood fans come on, I think. And yeah, we're trying to do it every week. We did 47 episodes last year, which was a bit of a slog. But yeah, we've set ourselves up as a nominee for the Football Content Awards as well. So we're hoping that people will give us some love as well. So yeah, I appreciate you asking us on as well. We'll definitely get you on for an important game.
Yeah, the actual division as opposed to a glorified pre-season friendly, where in the first round we are both going to be dealt a tie away to Grimsby or Barrow or someone like that, and we can't win. With that being said, as I mentioned at the start, I will link the B-Brief at probably top line of the description, regardless. Thank you all for watching. We're going to be doing these for every game that has some form of significance and meaning. So don't expect one when we play Reading or someone in the Cup, because who cares? Or probably not many of the EFL Trophy games, because they are also arguable to exist. But that being said, if you enjoyed this very impromptu, I'm going to be honest with you, a very raw episode of the Before Game Brief, make sure to leave a like, drop a subscription and all that. Leave a comment on how you think this fantastic game of football is going to go. And I'll speak to you all soon. Take care.
Cheers.